Welcome back to another whiskey review with me, the Whiskey Novice. I hope you are all well. It is review number 43 and part 3 of my series Baker's Dozen. And we're back in Islay. And this time it is this fella, Bowmore 12-year-old. A whiskey which comes in for a bit of stick, gets a bit of a slagging. I was doing it myself there at the start. I apologise. Why does it get a bit of stick? Well, a couple of reasons. One, it does get the name for having a little too much extra colour added, too much caramel colouring E150A. It is dark, isn't it, for a 12-year-old? It gets a bit of stick just for sometimes not being a very good whiskey. But we'll see about that, won't we? Regarding the colour, let's take that out of the picture for now, shall we? And just review this as a whiskey, forgetting that it is a little dark. What do we know about it? Bowmore is the oldest distillery in Islay, tucked away there on a bay. I suppose it's considered the west coast, but it's tucked right up in. The oldest distillery, owned by Beam-Suntory, and as I say, comes in for a little stick. One of the reasons why we want to reevaluate this, relook at it, and I wanted to include this as part of this series is it does get that reputation. Part of the reason it gets the reputation, I think, personally, and I fell foul of this at the start when I bought it. I've had this bottle quite a while. As you can see, there's very little out of it because I don't often return to it. It gets married in with Islay whiskies, peated Islay whiskies, the Lagavulins, the Ardbegs, the Lefroys, and gets considered part of that family. I think is part of the problem. But Bowmore themselves say that, look, this is a lightly peated whiskey. In fact, I'm going to actually borrow a quote from Dominic Roscoe's book, The World's Best Whiskies, when he said, and I love this quote, so I thought I would borrow it, that if Lagavulin, Ardbeg and Lefroy were the Iron Maiden, Metallica and Motorhead of Islay whiskies, then this is Bon Jovi. And I just thought that was a great quote. It is gentle in that way. It's not the peat monster that those other three that I just named are, and many others. It is, and Bowmore say themselves, lightly peated. So we're taking the colour out of the picture and saying, let's forget about this. We're removing the aspect of it being peated because it is only lightly peated. It's not a peat monster. So let's review it with those things in mind, shall we? There we go. On the nose, citrus, lemon, apple, green apple, good, big, rich, dark green apple, crispy, crunchy green apple. There is peat involved. There is a light peat there. It is light. It is sweet. Not smoky to me. More citrus, orange. There are some wild herbal notes. Now when I say wild herbal notes, there's a thing in here. It reminds me of walking in a forest or at a river bank where you get wild garlic, just those big leaf plants that tend to grow wild in the forests and riverbanks around that area. It's in there. Even fresh flowers, like a flower shop. It's gentle. There are woody notes, like pencil shavings. but it's also like a damp rotting wood as well, an old post or something like that that's been too wet and it started to rot in the wet, which isn't terribly pleasant. There's an awful lot more going on in the nose than I remember. Let's say that. Into the palate. It's a salty delivery, but it's thin, it's wet, it's there's cardboard, everything goes straight to the back of the palate. For the amount of sweetness of that peat and the amount of sweetness from the apples, from the lemon, from the orange in the nose, there's very little sweetness in the palate. It's just thin. Now this is bottled at 40%. Is it chill filtered? Yes, of course it is. There's no point even suggesting is the colour added. Of course there's colour added. Very little going on. There's some soft fruit. Everything just goes right back to the back of the palate. Completely bypasses the front. Say some soft fruit, what would I suggest? Nectarine, maybe apricot. Yeah, apricot. Peat, yet again, that peat is there. It's not smoky, it's sweet, and it comes and goes in a flash. Yeah, not a great palate. Finish, sort of medium length. It's sharp, slightly bitter. And yet again, this is all going with everything going back to the palate, the back of the palate. Dry. It's even a bit spiky, if that makes sense. For what wasn't a bad nose, this whiskey falls apart very quickly. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm adding water to something that's 40% and falls apart anyway. But I did add water, as I always do during my tasting notes. And it did things to this whiskey, which certainly didn't make it any worse anyway, put it like that. Yeah, the nose becomes a little more oak forward and less sweet. The sweetness does tone down of all that fruit. The palate becomes slightly more oaky, slightly more smoky. So the peat smoke then does become smoke and less sweet. Finish, thinner, softer, more bitter. Yeah. I'm going to compare it again. I'm going to move away from Islay, something to compare it with, because it's a thin, sparkly peat. Talisker Storm, to be precise. Bottled probably at 45.8, I would imagine, like most of their entry level stuff is. And the reason I went here is because, yet again, you've got your, as usual, I haven't tried this comparison yet. I'm just working from memory and thinking, yeah, these are probably, and even in a price variance, there's not probably enough. As a matter of fact, you'll probably get this cheaper than this at the best of times. I would imagine most of us have probably even tried this. Everything entry level, the Talisker Sky, Talisker Storm, even the Talisker 10-year-old, you'll get roughly around the same price. I'm not reviewing this here as usual. I will probably at some point again. So this Bowmore, Thin, soft, sweet, slightly woody now, slightly smoky. Very, very average. Usually comes in around here, the 25 to 40 pounds mark. Totally different. I mean, they are totally different. Peat in Talisker is a suggestion, along with all the other briny things that go in there and the other sparkly suggestions of things. But they are two totally different whiskies, which I'm surprised at. I actually thought, as I say, I haven't tried these together. I thought the Bowmore, and now this is part of the reason why I like to compare, because now after nosing the Talisker, the Bowmore just turns into cardboard emulsion paint. There's other things coming in here now, not good things. Things that make this even less appealing than it was a moment ago. On the palate, yeah, I like that. I like the Talisker entry range. I like, there's so much more going on. Okay, this is a bottle of 45.8%. This is a bottle of 40, and I've added water, so I've thinned it once again. But now we go back and we address how I started. I'll pop this away again. Do like this. It's always been one that I like to return to. Getting back to the Bowmore and addressing those things from the start. We didn't lie on we didn't, hang around on the fact that there's an awful lot of colour added. There is an awful lot of colour added. There's too much colour. I don't, and I've said it, maybe I've heard me say it before, colour doesn't matter an awful lot to me in whiskey. You can't take colour out, obviously. Well, why would you? But you can certainly add too much, in my opinion. And this is an example of that. And there are others. It's not just Bowmore. There are other producers charging an awful lot of money for their whiskey out there and adding too much colour to them, in my opinion. It is just an opinion, and it is just something that they do. So that's that addressed. Yes, I do think they've added too much colour to this. Is it a poor whiskey? Are those people who give it stick just for being a poor whiskey justified for saying so? Well, it ain't great. I can tell you that. It's not great. It's cheap, but then it's not always cheap. There's sometimes, as I said, anything from 25 to 40 pounds, and when it gets up to that 40 pounds mark, it certainly ain't worth it in my book. It's pushing it to be worth it at 25 pounds, to be honest with you. It's a 12-year-old single malt Scotch. That is a badge of honour almost on its own. But what's inside this bottle does not hold up, I'm afraid. When I was writing my tasting notes, when I was going through this again, I was actually quite pleasantly surprised with the nose again. As I said, I haven't visited this in a long time, and this air has obviously changed it, because I remember when I opened it I wasn't a big fan. The nose isn't bad. It's not great, it's not bad. Palate, thin, washy, cardboard, just not great. Not great. There you are. That's just what I think of it. Obviously, just my opinion. So that's that. That's that review done. Once again, I'm going to leave it there. Move on. I'll be back next time with something totally different again. Until then, I would once again like to thank you all. I'd like to thank and really put it out there and thank my patrons for their support. It is very much appreciated. Anybody who would like to join that Patreon group, I will leave a link in the description below. Until next time, please look after yourselves, look after each other. Here's to your good health. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.